Hello there, welcome to another episode of World of Tanks with Guinea Titan. And we're starting out at the beginning of September, at the beginning of fall. We're winding down of another year. And we're, I suppose, getting older, and so is World of Tanks. However, there is some news and some changes, and I thought it'd be worth just briefly drawing your attention to some of the news and recent developments, if you haven't already been doing so. So, it's all on the portal page, or connected to the portal page if you want to look up in more detail than what I am going to briefly recount here. So first of all, update 4.11 is out for a while now, and it didn't really bring a lot of change. Most of it was under the hood, balancing stuff, or stuff that you might never come across if you're not involved in clan activities and stuff like that, because there's a lot of balance to changes to maps that are only available in training rooms and things. And generally you need 2 people to open a training room. So a lot of people might never be or never get involved in that kind of stuff. However, they did bring in dynamic ratings, and I think dynamic ratings are worth pointing out, because they're quite useful. So if you go into the garage and you look at your tank, you have a set of ratings, like a horizontal bar chart on the right hand side: firepower, survivability, mobility, concealment and spotting, and numbers associated with each, and different tanks have different values. So now you can go into the equipment slots, for instance, and you can buy equipment. And as you're looking at something like coated optics, the spotting range numbers will increase, or if you put in vents, other numbers will increase, or if you're swapping coated optics with vents, the spotting will go down and the other numbers will increase, and various things like that. And it works similarly for consumables. So if you look at fire extinguishers, your survivability number increments by +1, but if you look at high octane fuel, your mobility will go up, but your survivability might actually go -1. Because high octane fuel is more flammable. It's supposed to work for perks. I haven't been able to get it to work. I have gone in, assigned a crew to a tank, and gone into the new skill that they're supposed to pick, and I don't see the rating thing come up. So maybe there's another way of looking at it. Now, I didn't look at this in any great depth, and I didn't look at it or spend much time at it. But I do think it's a useful development. It certainly helps out players, and particularly if you're a new tank, it might give you an idea of what you might want to use on it. And of course, if you're starting out with a new tank, say in a fresh crew, you might want to equip it differently to a tank that has an experienced crew. Just saying, for instance, you might, with a really experienced crew, you might prefer to use vents instead of coated optics, for instance, on a medium tank or something like that, because you get a lot of advantages to vents, and your view range might be good enough anyway, whereas coated optics only is a one-trick thing. There's also as I said, some support for map changes for clan stuff, and I just noticed there that was something I always thought that wargaming would push a lot harder, but they didn't seem to do so. Or there's only recent times they really seem to be doing it. And I noticed there's a competition for 1 million gold, 2 million gold, 2 million gold, I think, for the PlayStation. I've never seen or noticed similar competitions for the Xbox. That's not to say that they're not there. Clan stuff has never been a kind of priority of mine. I did think about it at the beginning, alright, when they started forming them, but at that time I didn't have, my time was not my own, and I could not commit to doing anything on a regular kind of schedule. However, that is only a minor aspect of it. That's pretty much enough about that, though. What else is there? So, Summer Games Charlie starts up, or will be starting shortly. Same deal again as before. It's the third leg of the Summer Games, so this is to win the 105mm gun-armed Hellcat. So if you got all 3, Alpha, Bravo and Charlie, you will get it for free. If any 2 out of the 3 or 1 out of the 3, you get a discount of various and varying amounts. So far, I mean, it's the same deal. You get whatever it is, 35 ops, 450 points, I think. And you'll get various operations during the daily times will give you a point. Certain operations will give you 10 points, and there'll be generally on any given week some operation that'll give you 50 points. Commander mode is back. Yay, I'm not really interested in Commander mode. Don't know about the rest of yous. +1, -1 matchmaking is going to be trialled again. That's interesting. I thought it was worked pretty well the last time it was done. I thought it was an addition that can be, or a change that can be made to the game that didn't actually seem to have a huge impact on the matchmaking. There was a bit extra time, I think, in the matchmaking, but it does make the game a lot easier for people that are obviously grinding tanks, or working with stock tanks and things like that, because obviously the +2 spread can be huge, particularly at certain levels. Like if you're on tier 3s and you face tier 5s, there's a massive difference. Tier 5s against tier 8s, tier 8s against tier 10s. Some of those tanks can be really outclassed if they're bottom tier. Again, it depends somewhat on the tank. The Comet, for instance, really struggles against tier 9s. Because a lot of the tier 9s are sufficiently heavily armoured in front that even with premium ammunition you're not going to penetrate them. Even the weak spots are not weak spots. If you're frontally facing a mountain or something like that, or even a Carnarvon, an M103, well, okay, the turret cheeks in the M103 are probably doable, but some of those tanks can be damn near impossible. And there's a lot of corridor maps in the game, so the options of flanking can be quite limited in this game. It's just not there in a lot of maps. So I think the +1, -1 matchmaking is to be welcomed. And I also think it's to be welcomed that Wargaming is willing to experiment. It shows that Wargaming is willing to throw fresh resources at this game, that they're not actually just coasting on past success, reskinning the occasional new tank or new map and chucking it out there. Because doing stuff like, well, I don't know how much work it is to do +1, -1 matchmaking, but obviously the matchmaker has to be tweaked. The infrastructure, deploying it and stuff like that. There's a reasonable amount of effort in doing something like this. The same way with the no RNG. There's a reasonable amount of effort, development effort, and generally you're talking about maintaining 2 code bases. So you have your old code base, so that you can revert back to for the normal game, and you have the experimental code base that you're bringing in. And that generally requires extra developmental resources, so it shows that Wargaming are still investing money in this thing, and they probably believe that there's going to be a return in that investment, that the game has a lot more legs than people give it credit for. So what else is there? Well, other things that might be worth noting, I suppose. War chests are making a return. There'll be various special deals and special operations, commemorative operations and stuff like that. I think there's buy 2 silver tier 10 events and a tier 10 discount at some point. Ranked battles are making a return. And there's some new tanks coming along. There's a new British tier 6 tank destroyer. And also a new, new Carnarvon variant. And possibly a new, there's a new tier 10 Soviet heavy tank, which can only be bought for free XP. Now, this is something new they brought in. I didn't notice they brought in, I think, the M60. Now, I wouldn't have had enough free XP, because I'm still grinding out tanks, so I occasionally spend chunks of free XP to skip portions of the grind, particularly the stock levels at the higher tiers. I would quite frequently, if I have the free XP available, probably skip the stock grind completely at tier 9 if I possibly could manage it. Depends on the tank. I usually try it for a few battles to see what it's like. And if the gun is okay, I will run with it. So I did it for the Waffenträger Panzer IV. I thought the gun was pretty good. It was the same as the Borsig, the top gun on the Borsig as far as I remember, and I just ran with that one. But I remember the stock gun on something like the ST1 was utterly hopeless, and there was no way I was playing it. And I just stopped until I actually had the free XP available to skip that gun. But if you have had ground out all the tanks you're going to grind, and for the last couple of years you've been doing nothing but accumulating free XP, and you have 400 to 500,000 free XP lying around, then this is an ideal opportunity to get a free tank. You've already the work done for it. It's not like even the free tank ops where you have to actually work. And work reasonably hard to get it. This is a tank that you've already done the work, or a free tank for work you've already done. So it's worth keeping an eye out for that one. That's pretty much it on kind of news and highlights of the news from and developments in World Tanks. There's probably stuff that I missed, and there's more detail obviously can be got on their website portal. So, you enjoyed the two games that I showed you. The Comet, these are ones that have actually been sitting around on my hard drive for quite some time. The first one was on Heilbronn, and I got a Top Gun. And this one is obviously in the Ardennes. A map that I used to hate, but don't hate as much anymore. I've learned to cope with the Ardennes. My map to hate now at the moment is Icebound. Really don't like that map. The Comet, I'm playing it occasionally still. I'm still trying to obviously get the third mark of excellence on it, but I haven't got there yet. I think I'm not sure where I am now at the damage standing, but I do know that I kind of rise up and fall down on a regular basis. I don't think I've gotten anywhere near where I need to be. I don't think I've got past the 90% yet, but I'm not sure. I'll have to look at this stage and remind myself, because it's been a while since I've played it. Actually, the weekends now I've been playing Japanese and Chinese premiums. I have a couple of Japanese premiums, mostly the Kaiju, and I have obviously the SDA-2. And then I have the Valkyria Chronicles tanks. So I've been building up experience on crews and those, and I have also been playing the Type 64. And I've also been playing the Swedish premium tanks, because again the Swedish crews still haven't mastered their first skill. So I'm thinking of, down the line, I might as well get the crew training done. So the weekends I tend to play premium tanks, and during the week then I'm going to resume with the regular grind. So I'll be back. I think I have the crew. I'm ready to move on, or close to ready to move on. I think I have another 20,000 or so experience to put onto the VK2801 crew in order to get the transfer over, in order to so that I can get tank mastery when I buy the new tank. I can start with tank mastery. If I'm short for a bit, I'll probably just run them on premium tanks again for a while. Probably the captured the T-3488 or something like that. And then I have to do the same thing for the Skoda crew, and I have to do the same thing for the Polish crew, because they're along with, they haven't even deleted the skills. They're about, I think, 50 and 60% on their current skill. So I want to go through that skill, complete the skill. So there's probably a week or two left in that, and then I'd be ready to move on to the next tank. I probably won't start the tier 6, tier 7 tanks until I have all the tier 7 tanks, so all the crews ready to move across, and then I start the three of them together again. Or maybe with a slight stagger between them, so that I can get the first look at games done and dusted before you see the final tank. Well, now it's time to wrap it up. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please press like, comment, share. It really helps the channel out. And if you have not already done so, please subscribe to the channel. I will catch you all again soon. Bye for now.